Hey look, it's the Roughcut. I haven't made a video on this yet, which is surprising because it's one of my favorite blasters ever. And somehow, over like the 3 years that I've been on YouTube, close to 4 now, I haven't made a video talking about the Roughcut. What sense does that make? I don't know. Let's fix it, shall we? Roughcut was a 2013 release out of Hasbro in the Elite series, first being a blue blaster, and this one here being the XD release, which I think is the best version of the Roughcut that was ever created. However, more on that later. We've got quite a bit to talk about, first starting with the design. I don't know if I'm the only one, but it seems like this blaster seems more like some kind of melee weapon, just something for you to bash people over the head with really, really hard. I mean, the whole front of it is flat because this just has a bunch of Smart AR barrels on it, but it just seems more like some kind of throwable melee weapon than it does an actual blaster. And that's a cool vibe. And I think that this blaster's shape is very interesting. It's very bold and prominent. It's unlike anything else that really exists. It's one of those things where it's instantly recognizable no matter the color scheme. If you see the shape, you know it's a Roughcut. And honestly, that's the best thing that I can say about a blaster, is if you could just look at the silhouette from a distance and immediately recognize what it is, that means that you have succeeded in creating a blaster design. And the colors are beautiful. Like, usually I like the original Elite Blue more than the XD, but like, God, come on, look at this. It's awesome. The only thing I don't like about it is you see the Nerf logo here, but it's not on the other side. But they still painted Roughcut 2x4 on it and the Elite logo. So they did most things, they just didn't do the Nerf logo. And honestly, I still think it looked good from either side. All these long, big, swooping lines just look fantastic. It looks very techy, and yet very, very productive and like regular at the same time. It's really cool. What about the ergo, the most popular thing about the Roughcut, and the, oh my god, this grip. You've got a main grip and you've got a pump handle up here. The pump handle is not very good. It's way too small. It's very strangely angled. Your thumb never sits on it. You have to like crunch it to get it on, and it just isn't big enough for your fingers, and even if it was, it's at this angle to where like your fingers are gonna go over it unless you hold it in a weird way. I don't like the pump handle that much. I definitely think that the Elite 2.0 Warden had a way better pump handle than this one, and that's the only thing I will ever say that's good about the Warden. But the main grip, oh my gosh, it's really good. It's not perfect, and that mainly just comes down to the trigger, because the trigger pulls straight back. It doesn't go up at an angle the way that the Warden's does. So when you put your finger on the trigger, it feels weird and it doesn't make much sense. But the actual grip is very large and long and swoopy. There's tons of space for you to get your hand on it, and it's all very nice. There's no angles to this thing. It is made off the shape of your hand. This finger choil feels so good, and this whole big space for you to put your last two fingers is just, it feels like heaven. It is a wonderful grip, and it's probably one of the best grips ever made on any blaster. There's a reason people like the Roughcut grip, and that's because it's got nothing wrong with it. I've got nothing to say, and it definitely makes up for the mediocre pump handle. So how does it work? Up at the front, you've got 8 barrels that you can front load, and this is probably a good time to say that this was the first primary style Smart AR blaster. With the Smart AR release, it was this and the Triad, and I think that this is way more interesting than the Triad, because while the Triad is basically like a 3-shot jolt, this is a shotgun that you don't have to like use any back breaches or anything. You can just shove darts into it and watch it go. So you load in 8 darts at the front, you pull this back, you push it forward, and then you can pull the trigger fully to fire 2 darts. It's got slam fire, or if you prime the blaster and you carefully pull the trigger in, you can shoot 1 dart and then you can shoot the other. Nowadays, all that seems very normal and very basic and kind of boring, but at the time, being able to do like 1 shot after another, being able to shoot 2 at once, and more interestingly, being able to have 2 barrels that aren't anywhere near each other, if you just have to shove in random darts, be able to prime the blaster and it reliably shoot whatever 2 barrels are loaded, was a very big deal. It made this the most practical Nerf shotgun at the time, and everyone used this in wars instead of other things like the barrel brake. And don't you dare take the way I just said that as me throwing shade at the barrel brake, because guys, I love the barrel brake. It is so stinking cool. I think that this blaster was outstanding for the time. But you look objectively at this blaster and you can... It's the same size as the Roughcut. It's actually a little bit bigger than the Roughcut almost, and yet it only has 2 shots, and you have to use the barrel braking action, which is a lot more interesting and a lot more unique, but is also way slower, way clunkier, and way more ineffective. It's got reverse plungers in each barrel. Like, you have 1 plunger for each. It does keep the double stage trigger, but at the cost of being single shots. So each shot, you have to open it and prime it like that. While the Roughcut is very different. It uses mechanical gears, it has direct plunger, and the most importantly, you have 4 barrels per shot. So you can just rattle off shots as fast as possible with minimal issues, and it just works, and it works flawlessly. And I almost hit myself in the face, and then as you're shooting it, you can keep topping it off to give yourself more rounds. This was amazing when it came out, and it does good at its job too. Let's talk about the trigger and the smoothness of operation. The prime feels outstanding. It is so crisp and smooth. It's like full of plastic gears and stuff, so you can't really modify it, but the prime feels good. It just does. And then the trigger pull has a little bit of give to it, but it is pretty solid nonetheless. It's got a very satisfying and very good feeling pop when you pull it in. It's also not that hard to single 1 dart off at a time. You have to have a little bit of control, but you can do it. It works very well, and the 2 catches are still close enough to each other where if you pull the trigger in hard enough, you will shoot both. You won't accidentally shoot one and then the other after each other. It works. Let's see it fire. I wish this could go by a bit faster. Oh. Now, unfortunately, mod potential for the Roughcut isn't really there. And that's the reason why modders don't really look at Roughcuts nowadays, and why Roughcuts are so easy to come across is because they don't have that much potential in terms of the modding scheme. If you want to mod this thing, you basically have to give up all the reasons why the Roughcut was originally good and use it as an integration shell, or just change up the entire mechanism altogether and make it into an entirely different blaster. And at that point, you're better off just using the sledge fire, or if you're brave enough, a barrel brake. But nevertheless, what do I think of the Roughcut? If you couldn't tell, I like this blaster. Yeah, it doesn't have that much to offer nowadays. It's a really big blaster, and it only has 4 proper shots if you use it as a 2-shot shotgun. But it is comfortable, it's good looking, it was very good for the time, and it still works perfectly cromulently nowadays. It looks great on a shelf, it feels great in the hand, and it does what you need it to do, and it's never really failed. Except for the battle camo one. I have never seen a worse version of the Roughcut in my life, including the Warden. I've never seen a battle camo Roughcut that works. Ever. Ever. Ever! I could not close this video out without bringing up how bad the battle camo version of the Roughcut is. It has the most borked, screwed up, and broken internals ever, to a point where it won't work for very long. You can use it for a while, and then it will lock up, or the trigger will get stuck, or you'll hear something snap that'll rattle around inside the blaster, and one of the catches will never work again. One of those 3 issues, or you just won't be able to prime it one day for no reason. And then it's cooked. The whole blaster does nothing. That can happen, and it has, many times, a lot of times. Please look for this one. Because on the other side of the spectrum, if you look for an original Elite Blue Roughcut, that'll work, but it is the first version of a blaster that used smart ARs, which means it has the most primitive version of the smart AR mechanism ever, just like the original Triads. However, unlike the original Triads, where everything was very close to each other, this uses 4 different versions of smart ARs. You have the 2 top barrel ones, the 2 second, third, and fourth barrel ones, rather than it just all being the same style of smart AR like what the Triad has. And that makes it very unreliable. The original Roughcut is not a very reliable blaster. By the time the XD version came out, smart AR mechanisms were way more refined and work way better. So in my personal opinion, I think that the XD Roughcut is the one that you should be looking for if you are interested in getting a Roughcut. So with all that said, thank you guys for watching. Bye!